Hello, hello, my warriors. How are you? How was Christmas? Happy New Year to everybody. Please let's say hello to me. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know how your Christmas and your New Year's Eve was. My one was fantastic. Like I had such a good time. Right. Anyways, New Year's, a lot of things happen. I wanted to talk to you about devices today because with the poll that I did on Monday, a lot of you, hello Doily, hello Sharon, how are you? A lot of you said that the devices, are making the relationship between you and your teen worse. Not the devices, but taking the devices away from them. It's making the relationship worse. So I wanted to say, that you need to understand 5 things before you punish your kids without devices. You need to understand five things and think about this, because it might be an opener. I open up for you. So I'm gonna put you in a situation like, for example, your kids in the room playing games or like chatting with the friends or whatever. You come into the room, ask them to do something. They go like, yeah, in a minute. Yeah, keep on walking, keep on talking. And then 10 minutes later you go back. Whoops, I'm gonna put this on silence 1 second. 10 minutes later you come back to the room, and then you go like, do you remember that 5 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago I asked you to do this or that? And they go like, yeah mom, I told you, like, give me 5 minutes and I'm gonna do it. Yeah, rising the heat. Half an hour later, on all of this, you leave the room trying to be calm. Yeah, you go and do your things. Half an hour later, hi Cheryl, how are you? Half an hour later, you come back to the room because you have half an hour, to think about what happened, why your kid is talking to you like that, why they don't do the things that you told them to do when you told them to do them. So you've been boiling inside. You go back to the room and you go like, can you just do what I told you to do? Like, start the argument. You shout at them, they shout at you. You go like, yeah, that's it, give me your phone, give me your, off the computer, off the PlayStation, that's it. They go bonkers. Sometimes the arguments go so bad that it gets physical. Sometimes get physical. You wrestle with your kids to take the devices away. It gets physical. Sometimes it gets really bad. Sometimes it gets both parties, I'm gonna say, slappers and punches and punchings and everything. So I want you to understand that before we create this snowball, there is 5 things that you need to know and you need to understand before you take the devices away. You might agree with me, you might not. I would like to know your opinion. Just please write it down. I would like to know your opinion. 5 points. Point number 1, you need to forget about when you were a teenager, because the teenagers today live in a technology era. It's a totally different world, and they do everything on the computer. We didn't even know what internet was, to be honest. So forget about when you were a teenager. Teenagers today are totally different. I mean, the other day I went to the shop. Someone was paying with the ring. They put the ring on the machine, the car machine, and they were paying. And I'm like, what? And they go like, yeah, you can make phone calls, you can send texts, you can pay everything with the ring. Amazing. So forget about when you were a teenager. Today, teenagers just live in a total different world. Point number 2, do not compare when you were a teenager with teenagers today, because they do everything on the computer. They make friends in the computer. They play games in the computer. They do homeworks in the computer. They play games. Did I say that? Play games in the computer. They do everything in the computer. They shop in the computer. They do everything through the computer. But there's a good thing about that, because while they're in the computer, they're in your house. So you know they're not outside wandering with whoever. You know that they're in the house safe, even though they are just spending so much time in the computer and they're doing everything through the computer. I didn't even know what the internet was. I think my first computer, I don't know. I don't think I had a computer. Like, the first computer I ever saw was one of those Spectrums or Atari or whatever they were called. But yes, you cannot compare our teenage years, because I was playing outside the whole day with my friends, with our kids today. But there is one common thing that we did when we were younger and they're doing today. We used to lie about the homework. We used to skip school. We used to come home late. We used to sneak around to see boyfriends or have a puff. Yeah, nobody is a saint. I'm gonna admit it. They do the same today, but they do it through the computer. So they go in late to bed. They sneak the laptops or the phones under the pillow because they want to stay up late talking to their friends and hooking up. Yeah, so there's not much difference in the way that they socialize today, or the way that they disobey us, to the way that we used to disobey our parents too. Just agree with me or disagree, I find that a similar thing in there. Point number 3, we need to take ownership and admit that it's our fault. Who in the first place gave them those devices? Just think about Christmas. What did you give to your kids for Christmas? Was it a new tablet? Was it a new phone? Was it a new PlayStation? What was it? Was it a new device? Was it? So take ownership and admit that, yes, it's my fault. This is out of control. We probably start giving them devices when we were little, when they were very young, like maybe to keep them entertained while we were doing something, that we were cleaning or we were shopping or whatever. We just give them the phone to play or to watch something. So it's our fault. We need to admit it. Yeah, my kid is hooked to the devices because I gave them the devices first. It's that simple. Agree with me or disagree? I want to know. Please write it down. Now, point number 4, and this is where the addiction to the devices come from. So, in our brains, we create something called dopamine. Dopamine is the feel-good rush that we have when we are rewarded. Dopamine, or our brain doesn't know whether the reward comes from a positive outcome or a negative outcome, from something positive that we do or from something negative that we do. Yeah, the brain knows that we've been rewarded and it gives us a rush of feeling good. So dopamine can be created when you eat something that you really like, when you achieve a goal that you have been trying to do, when you climb a mountain. Dopamine comes in many ways. When you finish the gym, you have a rush of dopamine. But also dopamine can be created in the brain when you take drugs, when you smoke, when you have alcohol, and when you do something risky and stupid. That gives you a rush of dopamine, a rush of feeling good. So this is the thing, yeah? The devices are not the addiction. The addiction is what the devices give you. And I don't know if you have seen on Netflix the documentary about the people who created Google and Facebook and all these platforms, yeah, that they are designed to give you a dopamine rush, whether you get one more subscriber, whether you get one more like, whether you're expecting people to answer your questions. These these platforms are created to give you a dopamine rush, yeah? So therefore, the devices are not what are addictive. The addiction comes from the way that these platforms have been created. Point number 5, how to manage the devices, yeah? So as I always said, that with teenagers, not telling them what to do or what not to do, is telling them or negotiating with them. So negotiating the time, negotiating how to use them, negotiate what to do with them, negotiate all these things with them, instead of telling them yes or no, what to you do this, you do that, you're using it this time or the other time, like, negotiate. You need to be a role model first. If you, I think I'm too high, am I too high? If you look at your phone or your computer, you find that there is these settings, I can't remember now how it's called, these settings, and the setting will tell you how long have you been in the phone, what apps have you been using, and it will tell you everything. It will tell you everything. So I was amazed to know that I spend so much time on Facebook. I work with Facebook too, but just scrolling down Instagram, scrolling down, looking at pages, like wasting time. I spend like two hours of my day, if maybe more, just scrolling, chatting, WhatsApp with my family, yes, but sometimes it's unnecessary. So be a role model first. Monkey see, monkey do. That's what I always said. You can't preach your kids to do this or that when you're not doing it. They are more aware now of what you do. So be the role model. Yeah. Other thing that you can do is make screen time a privilege. So yes, they work on the computer, they do the homework on the computer, they study and stuff like that, but for example, like playing games or hanging out with their friends or stuff like that, make that a privilege. Like maybe after they do the chores or after they do their homework, then now you can play your games with your friend. Now you can talk to your friends, like first thing first, and then pleasure comes later. Another thing is spending more time with them. We don't spend enough time with our kids. We are too busy doing this and that and the thing over there, and we don't spend enough time with them. My dog agreed too, yeah? So try to spend quality time with them, plan things, cook together. I don't know, there's a million things. Play board games. I found out that board games is a big thing in my house. We just love it, and I discover new things about my kids every time we play games. It's unbelievable. So spend quality time with your kids. Teach them they can use the devices as an asset. They can use the devices to build a little business. There is hundreds of apps now where they can sell all clothes, all toys, all games. They can make money out of that. So teach them that they can use the devices as an asset too. Taking the devices away is taking the whole life away, taking the connections away, taking the friends away. I remember when my mom used to punish me, saying like, okay, you are not going to play with your friends outside now, you're not going to the cinema, you're not going to do this and that and that. And that was killing me, because for a whole month, my mom was very harsh, for a whole month, I could not see my friends. I could not play with them. I could not socialize. What I was doing? Watching TV. That's what I was doing the whole month. So and I was hating her. I was hating my mom for that. Wow, I hated her in that moment. So taking the devices away just make the relationship worse. Seriously, all we have to do is just manage them. What can we do instead to punish them? So let's say the punishment have to be related with the thing that they disobey with, you know. Like if you tell them to I don't know, tell them to do the dishes and they don't do them, okay, so now you're gonna do the dishes the whole week, yeah. Or you tell them to come late, you tell them to come home at what time, and they come later, okay, so now the whole week you're gonna come home earlier, things like that. The punishment have to be related to what the rule that they break, okay. So I think that's everything that I wanted to cover. Point number one, forget about when you were a teenage to what the world of teenagers are today. Point number two, don't compare when you were teenagers and the things that you used to do with how the teenagers use technology today and how they socialize today, because there is no comparison. Point number three, take ownership and admit that it's your fault that they are hooked to the devices. Point number four, understand where the addiction to the devices come from. Point number five, manage devices, negotiate with the kids about the devices, and if you have to punish them according to the rules that they break, okay. Just think about this. Let me know if you agree with me, if you don't agree with me. If you have any more questions, just let me know. I'm gonna let you enjoy tonight your dinner, or well, UK your dinner, and in the other parts of the world I don't know what time it will be. So I'm just gonna let you enjoy, carry on with your day, and I'll see you soon, my darlings. Bye bye.